Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to I'm Not Repeating Myself podcast. I'm your host, Mike, and I hope you heard what I said the first time because I'm not repeating myself. Glad everybody could be with me on this good Monday. Please make sure you like, share, and subscribe on SoundCloud, Apple, Spotify, and on YouTube. I'm on Instagram at I'm Not Repeating Myself Pod, and I'm also on TikTok at I'm Not Repeating Myself Pod. Hope everybody had a good weekend, man. March Madness is officially here for college basketball. It's been crazy so far. We're going to talk about that a little bit later in the show. But I wanted to start off with an interesting clip that I came across from Lil Wayne when he was speaking about, dropping classics, being relevant, trying to stay relevant in today's era. And I wanted to give my thoughts on that, but I wanted to play this clip because I found it very interesting. Basically speaking about the pressure of, the pressure artists had today to drop music.
I'm in the same ocean. I get judged by the same boy. Yeah. So just like I'm saying that to say, I know he know that. Oh no, the currents have changed now. Yeah. Yeah, they changed rapidly. Microwave. They want you. They want it, and they want it now, and they want it great, and they want it great every time. And if it ain't great every time, they forgot that you were ever great. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And, how you handle that? I love the chick. Oh my God, I love it. I love when everybody was like, man, when I was asked, they was like, man, that gotta suck, right? Man, what? It gotta be hard. I was like, so difficult, so great. Yeah. Like it make me wake up. give me a reason. I go to sleep looking at my microphone like, wait till I wake back up and to show you. I can't. It's a challenge. I approach it like a challenge anyway. So it was. Because you holding a higher standard. You don't care what they say. Like I don't even hear. Yeah.
So you're not reading anything anybody says about you. You're just challenging yourself.
Oh no, I've never done that.
Really? That's an amazing talent. This guy reads everything that's ever written about. He listens. He reads everything.
I like receipts.
He's got a folder with the receipts, everything on it.
My mama gonna if it's something that's too out the way. My mama gonna make me know. So she gonna call me like, what is this they talking about? Like, see, that is not even me. Like, that's not that pictures. That's AI. That's not real. So that's not you. What do you mean? That's not you. That is your face, boy. Like, that's my face, but they didn't. Anyway, it's enough. I'm like, it's not me. How you?
Yeah, so Wayne does have a valid point in terms of how we consume music today. A lot of it is, especially with the Friday drops, which also I'm gonna speak about a little bit later too. Um, with the Friday drops, getting it now, wanting to be the first to react, everybody giving their opinions. They want to, live tweet it now and post about it on Instagram now, which is fine. I don't have no issue with that. I mean, that's just the times that we're in. But in terms of how you judge the overall work, I always say this: anytime I judge an album, especially from an artist that's great, I'm judging the album for what it is. Now, depending on how your discography is already, then my assessment is my assessment. It just is what it is. You might have had a great moment. You might have had a great stretch of albums, but I'm always gonna just judge the album for what it is, and then I'll assess it overall for your career, however it is. In terms, I'll use Lil Wayne as an example. Lil Wayne is my favorite rapper of all time. After No Ceilings, Lil Wayne didn't have to prove nothing else to me. Everything after was just brownie points. It was just music. Now, has Wayne been bad on the back end of his career? Yeah. Overall, I would say yeah. Now, features wise, he gets busy. But as far as projects, mixtapes, and all that other shit after No Ceilings, it's kind of like, lackluster. I reviewed the Carter 6 back in, what was that? July, June, somewhere in between there. It wasn't good. Bad album. But that doesn't take away from how Lil Wayne is overall. Lil Wayne is still a GOAT to me. Again, after No Ceilings, he had nothing else to prove to me. But that album in particular, bad. Won't revisit it. Projects before that, bad. Lil Wayne on the back end post the No Ceilings mixtape, because I'm not even a big fan of Carter 4 like that. His best moments have been him on other people's projects. That's it. Other people's songs. But as far as his album output, mixtapes, no. And that's fine. From '04 to '09, Wayne, what he did in that time frame solidified him as the greatest rapper of all time to me. You have other artists who might not be afforded that luxury as far as their output. They might have just been okay throughout their time and then they fell off a cliff. Or they sparked early and then they fell off a cliff. So it just really goes hand in hand. I think it's important also too, if you like an artist, highlight the great shit that they did in the time, because it is difficult to get in the booth, in the studio, especially after maybe one bad project, after two bad projects, and maintain that same momentum and deliver on the same level as you did before. But I also feel like too, artists shouldn't put that much pressure on themselves. They should take into account what the fan says, but ultimately, if it's what you do, just get out there and challenge yourself. Do what you do. Like, I love doing this. Do I take into account any critique that the fans may have or listeners that I have? 100%. 100%. Shit, I review my shit all the time. Work on certain little things that other people might not even notice. So, but you're still doing it for you, and you want to make sure that you're still putting out a quality product. But the first thing is you. So if you ever lose your love, you might take a step back. Don't force yourself. If the love is not there, I'm not gonna say don't do it. Just revive yourself a little bit. Don't get so caught up in the, oh, I gotta deliver now. I gotta deliver now. No, don't do that. Don't rush it. Because if you rush it, it's gonna be terrible. It's gonna be terrible. Even with content, I see it with content. In comparison with content, people feel like as if, I use TikTok as an example. People feel like as if you got to post 3 times a day, every day. No, you don't got to do that. You don't got to post 3 times, 4 times a day in order to get your audience built up, because quality is first. And now, do you need quantity? Yes, 100%. If you're staying consistent at least 3 to 5 times a week posting, you're good. The quality is always going to trump the quantity. You don't want to just get shots up, and nothing's not hitting because you're in fear of the algorithm. Artists fall into that same bubble as well. They in fear of the algorithm. That's the big word today, the algorithm. Everybody want to stay in the algorithm. Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. And so you're forcing yourself to put out music that you know is not really quality. You get what I'm saying? So you still want to maintain that. For Wayne, when he was dropping mixtapes in early 2000s, he was putting it out at a high clip, but it was all high quality. That's just him. He a different animal. You had Gucci, same thing too. Gucci probably wasn't as much quality, in my opinion, as Wayne as far as the raps, but he was putting out mixtapes at a ridiculous rate. I'm talking about some McDonald's $1 million, a million burgers a week, a day type shit. Like, that's how crazy Gucci was going. But you don't want to get caught up in feeling like I have to because I'm competing with the algorithm. I'm competing with the times. No, still stick to your formula. You still want to adapt with the times. Don't get it fucked up. But you don't want to completely fold under the pressure of, I have to stay on top of this algorithm. I have to, deliver at this rate, because your fans were with you at a certain point in the timeline. And that timeline was the early 2000s. Now, if you was an artist that's coming out today, that's different. But you can still implement quality within that standard too. And I also feel like you want to give people time to miss you. If you giving somebody time to miss you and you letting it marinate, I think, yeah, they'll be anticipating, you coming out. And I think that's kind of what's helped benefit the likes of Kendrick Lamar, J. Cole, Drake, Kanye West. Like, they can announce that they're dropping something. Travis Scott, I'll throw him in there too. Future, I'll throw him in there too. They can announce that they're dropping something, and we'll wait for that shit. We'll wait for that shit. They don't have to constantly put something out every single year in order to stay relevant. They don't have to do that. They came into a time where, of course, before the streaming era, but you have some artists today who can drop, like, I'll use Leon Thomas. Leon Thomas don't gotta consistently put out an album every year or every other 3 months or drop something. No, like, every time this man has dropped since he's been dropping, it's been high quality. So I know if he announced that he's coming out with something, it's gonna be on a high quality tip. If you stick to the quality side of it versus the quantity, I think you will come out good in this day and age, because that is a real thing. Like, people want it now. They want it now. They want the music now. Hey, when you dropping again, love your fans, respect your fans 100%. I always say that. But you don't always have to fold to the pressures of putting something out, because if it comes out and it's bad, then you're going to have to deal with the backlash. But if you put in your time and then you put it out and then you the reception is what it is, you know that you put your time and your effort into it. That's all it is. But if you rush and you put some shit out, it's gonna hit you harder because you know you didn't stick to your formula. You know you didn't stick to your formula. So I think that's a very interesting conversation in terms of, you know, the times that we living in with the streaming era. Everything is on demand now. Everything is in the palm of your hand with this. The internet change. I always say internet is the greatest invention of all time. Top 2, top 3 invention of all time. Then when you implemented Wi-Fi, everything is on demand. You can pay your bills on your phone. You can send an email on your phone. You can send pictures on your phone. You can listen to music. Right, I want it here and now. You don't gotta wait to go to the store to go get some music. We all know releases are Friday at 12 a.m. And you know, honestly, and I'm gonna bring this up in a second when I transition to my next topic. You know, I don't really feel like every artist gotta drop on 12 a.m. Like, I don't know when that became the actual standard in terms of dropping at 12 on Friday, but shit, you can go back to a Tuesday, drop 8 a.m. Why not drop 8 a.m. on Friday? Why not drop 8 a.m.? Why gotta be 12 a.m.? People asleep, you're not up, but then also, you know, a lot of things drop at 12. Movies drop. People be waiting in line. Games come out at 12 o'clock. People be waiting in line. So I get it. It makes sense. But if artists are feeling like, man, I don't want to drop at 12, shit, drop on a Tuesday. Change. You don't have to march to the same beat as everybody else. But I really feel like Wayne speaking on that, he highlighted something in that clip that's very important, challenging yourself. As long as you're challenging yourself and you competing against yourself, you'll be all right. But if you ever feel like you're folding to the pressure of the fans or the standard of today, and your product is not going to be good. I'm going to tell you that right now. It's not going to be good. Again, you can adapt with the times and adjust with the times, but you don't have to fold to every single thing of, you know, man, how do I stay on top of the algorithm? Because when I decided to go solo and I said, shit, even before when I was on the previous podcast, I was never conforming, and I'm not saying nothing wrong with it. I was never going to a 2-show-a-week format. Salute to Joe. Joe Budden, he implemented that format. It's great for him. I love it. Shit, I'll be mad if Joe don't drop on Saturdays, but that works for Joe. Or if he don't drop on Wednesdays and Saturdays, but that works for Joe. And, you know, I was able to pretty much adapt to that. But as far as me, no, because I don't want to chop up my content. I feel like I'm giving y'all a grade A steak dinner every Monday. I don't want to chop that up throughout the week and trying to force out content because I want to stay on the TL every single day with some new shit. No, because at that point, then I'm just going to be forcing conversations. And I don't want to be forcing conversations. And in combination with the artist, you don't want to be forcing your art. And you don't have to. A lot of artists, man, shit, we all know. SZA, she going to drop when she want to drop. That's just how it is. She ain't never been the artist to, yeah, I need to stay on top because she knows she has a core fan base that regardless, they're going to be waiting for that project whenever she say it's announced. And that's the beauty in all of this too. If you can grow an audience that's going to wait for you to drop, it's a luxury in that. It's beauty in that because they're waiting to hear your voice. They're waiting to hear your input. They're waiting to hear your music. So if you can build an audience that's patient with you and you set a standard. Now, if you set a standard out the gates where you're dropping consistently, you got to stick with that. And you can't be mad at your fan base because that's how you came out. When I decided to go solo, people was like, oh, how often you going to be dropping? Are you going to be doing interviews? I'm not doing interviews. This is not an interview-based podcast. I want to build my audience based off of me. I'm not saying nothing is wrong with interview-based, but I want to build my audience based off of me. I want my audience to listen because of me. I'm going to give y'all a show once a week. So if something happened on Wednesday, Thursday, of course you might have some outlier situations where I may do an emergency pod. But if something happened on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, just know I'm going to be here that following Monday to talk about it. I'm going to be in here Sunday recording to talk about it. Because I can't wait for Mike to talk about this on Monday. It's a beauty in that. It's a luxury in that. And you want to apply that. If you're, even me as a consumer, I don't want to ever feel like my favorite rappers, even R&B artists, got to rush to put out an album. I'll always say, You don't got to give me an album every year. When I was coming up and I started loving music, on the average, you had some people who was dropping on a yearly basis. Shit, even in the 70s and 80s, they were dropping like every other month. Some artists dropping every other month, like putting out records, shit like that. But you don't have to give me an album every year. If you drop every other 2 years, a year and a half, I'm cool with that. Now, I don't want you to go on a long hiatus, 3-5 year type shit, because that was one of my gripes with Kendrick Lamar at the time. Like, nigga was just going away too long. Now, had he been doing features in between time, I'm cool with that. If you give me an album every other year, I'm cool with that. If you taking a 2-3 year break, okay, cool. But give me some features in the middle of that. But I don't ever want an artist to feel like you have to deliver to me like every other month, every other 3 months, every other 6 months. No, that's crazy. You're not giving any time to marinate, sit down, reflect, get in your creative bag. Now, you got some artists who could just get busy like that. Like, that's why you can't compare yourself to Wayne. You can't compare yourself to Gucci. Compare yourself to you. What are you capable of? What's your timetable like? That's how you want to deliver, because again, if you're rushing, it's not going to be good. And you're going to have a cringe. You're going to be cringe. Now, some artists, they fold to the pressures of the label. That's when you get into the business aspect of it. You got to review your contracts. Your label saying you got to put out 12 albums, 6 albums. That's crazy. That's a crazy output. Then you got to recoup. So I understand there's a lot of pressures that go into it. But when you love what you love and you know what your formula is, you don't got to worry about that shit. You don't. Trust me, I know. Me doing this shit here, I was never going to conform to the pressures of the algorithm. Content creators, they go through it. Streamers go through it. I salute the streamers. The streamers are needed in this game. That's just not my format, something I can see myself doing. It's a lot of pressures with that. But if I'm staying consistent on a week-to-week basis, giving y'all, I feel like I kind of compare myself to an artist in the aspect, shit, I'm giving y'all an album every week. You know, it's funny because Joe just talked about that, like, you know, how artists are now, you know, kind of getting to the content game, and, you know, with their music, they're not putting out shit every week. With shit, the podcasters, they putting out content every week, an episode every week. Sometimes, again, Joe, 2 times a week. So you have to stick to your formula, what works for you. If it's high quality, drop 2 times a week. If it's high quality, drop 3 times a week. If it's high quality, drop 1 time a week. I know what my format was and what I wanted to stick to. And I know regardless, as long as you're consistent, you're not, you know, dropping and taking 3 weeks off, dropping, come back in a week, dropping, come back in 2 weeks, dropping, come back in 3 months, dropping and come back in. No. Stick to a format. As long as you're sticking to a format, you will be all right. You will be all right. And the music going to speak for itself, and your fans are going to receive it how they're supposed to receive it. But don't ever fall into the pressures of this algorithm. This algorithm will have your head spinning. You'll be like, God damn, like this in comparison. They'll be like, oh, such and such dropping, da da da. It's cool. It's cool to evaluate the field. Everybody does it. I do it. Everybody evaluates the field. But you could take bits and I could probably do that. I'm not going to do that. I could probably do that. I'm not going to do that. And then you just basically bring it together in terms of, okay, what you going to do? And you don't got to take from nothing at all. You can just be like, no, I'm not folding. This is what is going to work for me, and this is what I'm going to stick to. So shout out to Wayne for having that conversation, because I thought that was real dope. And, you know, that was a very, very interesting conversation. So moving on to the next topic. J. Cole dropped the interview with Apple Music and Nadeska. Shout out to Nadeska for doing that interview with J. Cole. J. Cole basically was talking about, you know, everything that was revolving around the fall off, you know, the beef and everything like that in terms of how he was dealing with that. But it was basically mainly talking about that and, you know, the aftermath of how he handled that whole situation with the beat 2 years ago. Actually, today is the 2-year anniversary of this whole battle starting, when Like That verse came out. But I want to start off with, I found it very interesting, because I'm going to have my gripes, but I want to start off talking about what I liked about the interview, because I want to be balanced here. What I did like about the interview was J. Cole talking about how the fall off was a 10-year plan. that was dope to me. I thought that was very, very dope. And it's kind of shocking because you never really hear about an artist having a 10-year plan for an album. That gotta be hard as fuck and lay out like, cause so much shit can happen in between that 10-year period. So much shit can happen in terms of that 10-year period. So for him to highlight the fact that the fall off was a 10-year plan dating back to 2016, this is around 2014 Forest Hills Drive and For Your Eyes Only time frame. So when he put that out there, I was like, damn, that's dope as hell, bro. Like for a rapper to really sit down and be like, I'm gonna have an album in particular come out 10 years from now, and this is gonna be the roadmap to it. So I thought that was very, very dope. A lot of artists, I've never heard an artist say they had a 10-year plan for a specific album to drop at a specific time. So shout out to Cole for getting his creative bag for that. I thought that was real, real, real dope, man. You don't see artists sit down and be like, yeah, I'm gonna do this in 10 years for this particular project. A lot of the times what you see is, artists just going with the flow. Not saying nothing is wrong with that, but they're, how can I say it? They're drawing up their plan in real time for a project. And like I said, so much shit can happen in between time. You can have a different creative direction. You can have life-changing events. You can have, I want my sound to be this now. What I said 3 years ago is not how I feel today. I'm switching this whole shit up. So I want to give Cole props in terms of how he went about packaging the fall off, because it's hard. That's hard to maintain something that you said you was gonna do 10 years ago, especially for an album. Businesses change, sounds change, record contracts change. Even yourself, your rap style might change. But I want to salute him for sticking true to that, because that's not easy at all. That's not easy at all. But in terms of, and shout out to him for actually doing it in his house as well. I thought that was dope too. Like he was doing it in the basement where he recorded, where he would go and talk about how he, what I also thought was dope too was how he talked about how in that room in particular, that's on the cover of the Fall Off, him and his homeboy would go down there on Friday nights and, just write rhymes. Like, and his parents would just let him, make beats on the beat machine and, let it get loud as it would. I don't know if my mom would allow me to do no shit like that, but that's dope as well. So for him to be in the comfort of his home where it all started at, that's real dope. I love the setting in terms of that. Cole is just he's just a real student of rap. He loves rap. And that's one thing I'll always give him credit for. I can never say J. Cole cheated the game. That's one thing I can say. J. Cole has never cheated the game. He has never cheated the game. Throughout his career, I can never look at a time frame and be like, you know what? I might not have liked this song. I may not have liked this album. But I could tell J. Cole took his time with it. There's never been a time where I looked at something that he did and I could tell he didn't give 100% effort. So when I hear him speak about, him writing in his notepad or him being in that room on Friday nights, I'm like, this is a nigga who really love rap. This is a nigga who really love rap, and he was going to be determined to be where he is today. And pretty much he is where he, like, listen to him, hear how he talk. He spoke it into existence, man. He manifested this whole shit. And I think is beauty in that when you really love what you love and you put in time and effort, you really, deserve everything that you get. And that's why he rose to be one of the best rappers in his class, generational, one of the rap icons for his time frame. So salute to J. Cole for that. So what I had an issue with in terms of this interview, again, shout out to Nadeska. Nadeska is great at what she does. This is not going to be me piling on her in terms of her skill set. But J. Cole sitting down with Nadeska was very, 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 very safe. It was very safe. And it's no slight to her because you have different interviews who do different things. And also, maybe because this is Apple Music. Like, yes, Nadeska was doing the interview, but maybe in combination with Apple Music, the interview was gonna go how it was gonna go, regardless. And when you get with certain artists, I understand how it works. You know, they go through the questions, they go through the structure. You know, certain questions just ain't gonna go, certain pushback ain't gonna go, and you're not gonna get the interview. So I understand that. But with Cole, this is different. This is different. And I feel like this had to be an interview, especially based off the last 2 years. He needed to sit down with somebody who's going to provide a little bit more pushback. Period. Point blank, period. The context is different. This is not off the heels of 2014 Forest Hill Drive and For Your Eyes Only. This a different time frame. We all know what has been going on with J. Cole over the last 2 years. We all know. He needed to sit down with somebody who's going to provide way more pushback. Way more pushback. I'm sorry. That's my biggest issue with this, was in terms of the pushback. It just felt like certain moments I needed Nadeska to be like, I hear you, Cole, but what about this? Because again, they had a great conversation in terms of, you know, the fall off and how it was the build up. Actually, I'm gonna play a clip from him actually talking about how the fall off was supposed to drop, because the fall off was supposed to drop 8 weeks after Might Delete Later. Might Delete Later was already mapped out. Again, that goes within the time frame of how the whole buildup was supposed to go. And I love Might Delete Later. Might Delete Later is one of Cole's best projects. But it was supposed to drop 8 weeks after. But we all know what the fuck happened in between time. So, of course, he probably had to go back, do this. And Cole also was feeling like, you know, he was ready for the shit to just come out. And I'm glad that he actually didn't stick to it, because I don't think it would have been what he wanted it to be. Now, The Fall Off is a cool album to me. Just a cool album. But it was, I think it was a little bit less, and I don't think it was a double album at the time, if I'm remembering the interview correctly. I don't think it was a double album, but it was supposed to come 8 weeks after Might Delete Later. And he was just ready for the shit to come out. He was like, you know what? I'm just ready for this shit to come. I'm tired. Like, let's just get this shit out. But I'm glad he didn't go. But let me play this clip in terms of talking about how that was supposed to come.
It's taken a long time. Like you said, I had Might Delete Later, and I had The Fall Off ready to go.
Yeah.
And the plan was dropping Might Delete Later. That shit was Might Delete Later was always dropping at the spot that it dropped. That was the date it was gonna drop, right before Dreamville Fest. Of course, that song 7 Minutes Ago wasn't on it. It was the whole album minus that song. And then I had The Fall Off coming like 8 weeks later, mind you. So it was like, you know,
Wow.
I had The Fall Off coming probably like 2 months after that, right? Here's the asterisk next to I had The Fall Off coming. I was finishing the album. I was on tour with Drake. And if you would have heard me talk about The Fall Off probably for the 4 or 5 months prior to almost releasing the album, what you would have heard is me and E both. This is my man. You would have heard us talk about The Fall Off like this. Man, let's get this shit the fuck out and be done with this shit. Like, come on, bro. We have been working on it for 8 years at that point. So we were exhausted, and the music was fire, but we were damn near over it. You know what I mean? Where it's like, yo, this shit is taking a long time. It's like, let's put this shit out. And I genuinely thought that I was like done. Like how I feel now, like hella inspired. Like I was not at that point. I was like exhausted. I had gave everything in my mind. You know what I mean? From the feature run to the off season, to Might Delete Later, to everything that I had done.
My God, that was an amazing time. Just, sorry to interrupt, to just be a J. Cole fan. Like, you have to,
So that's Cole speaking about how The Fall Off was supposed to come out. And honestly, I would have been interested to, you know, see what songs, how he would have structured the album had it came 8 weeks after Might Delete Later, because Might Delete Later was fire. That's one of his better projects. So I'm glad that he didn't stick to that plan, especially based off of everything that was happening in that time frame. But again, moving on to my biggest, and again, this is no slight at Nadeska at all, because she is great. She is great at what she does. But Cole, for the context of what he's been going through the past 2 years, he needed to sit down with somebody who's going to provide him a little bit more pushback. He did this purposely. in combination with her Apple Music. I understand, again, certain artists, when they go and do interviews, especially when they don't do them often, they're going to structure it a certain way. But that goes back to playing it safe. This is a continuous theme with J. Cole. Like, it was just too safe. She should have provided a little bit more pushback, even when they didn't even talk about Port Antonio a lot. They mentioned it probably a little bit within the time frame, but there should have been a little bit more discussion about that track in particular. So then we go on, and he gets to talking about the battle, the apology. And again, we haven't really had no explanation from Cole in terms of the apology since probably Point Antonio. That's the only thing we really got from him and what he did on stage. But he goes and he starts talking about in terms of how the whole thing went about, right? Let me go ahead and play that clip.
The 5 minutes, the 5 hours before, was it something that you had really thought of and planned? Or did you get on the stage and felt like, I need to do this?
No, it hit me an hour before.
Okay.
But before that, I was stressing the fuck out but in the moment that the idea came to me, like via God, it's like, oh man, I lifted and I got light and I got excited. I got so excited because, to tell you the 2 or 3 days before that, it was like, oh my, nah, this is terrible, because I felt like I misrepresented myself. You know what I mean? It's like all of a sudden I'm giving life to division and to negative storylines or negative perceptions on somebody that I fuck with and got love for. You know what I mean? Somebody that I like care about. And it's like, oh shit. In my mind, of course, I mean, I could take you back to, we know why that happened in the first place,
right.
But just to answer your question, that shit had me feeling terrible, because I'm like, oh my God, like this shit is nasty. This shit don't feel right. And of course, leading up to it, when I was doing it, it made sense. Actually, I can't really say it made sense, but in a moment where I wasn't clear, like we were just talking about, I chose to do something that didn't align. It's like putting on the fucking outfit, the Versace sweater or whatever. In a moment where I wasn't clear, I chose to go this way for reasons that I could tell you about. But all you need to know right now is like, yo, I felt miserable about it. Like literally, like my whole demeanor, my whole shit, my wife could tell. And so I'm like, oh my God, I gotta go on this stage and like come out here and pretend. Almost like people think that I'm represented. Mike Delete Later had just dropped. It's the biggest news. Not saying Mike Delete Later is, but just the drama of all of this is the biggest news happening. And I'm coming out as a representative of what the fuck they just heard. It's like, nah. So an hour before, it was like, aha. Like, yo, in a very loud manner, on a very public forum on your album, you said some shit you didn't believe in. Now you got the opportunity to go on a bigger forum, a bigger stage is being live stream and say something that you believe in. And in that moment, I'm like, thank you, God. Like, told my wife, she the only one I told. I ain't telling nobody else. I'm like, yo, this one I'm about to go do. She start crying because she know how I feel about him. You know what I mean? Like, she knows. And she saw how it was weighing on me the 2-3 days before that. She could see in my whole energy. And she would even ask me. And I'm just like, yeah, I got a lot going on right now. Like, so when I go and do it, I felt even better than I felt knowing I was going to do it. I felt like, if you'd have seen me that night, man, mind you, the demeanor of everybody around me.
I was just going to say.
Like, damn, nigga, like my man Barry from since the 80s, he Earth Gang, signed Earth Gang, and yeah.
He'll always keep it real with you.
100%, that's my nigga. Like, but he just sitting there like, he like, you a good dude, man. But he's almost disgusted about it. Like, he's almost hurt about it. And if you would have saw me, I'm just like, bro, like, I feel amazing because now the world knows how I really actually feel.
But this is what is mind-blowing to me, right? The reaction that everybody had, and we'll talk more like later.
So that's Cole explaining how the whole apology went down. Cole, the worst thing you said on that track was his discography was weak. It didn't warrant all of this. I'm sorry, bro. I'm sorry. Like, cut it out. Cut it out, bruh. It wasn't that deep. Like Cole really be acting like he put out a hit 'em up type diss record. It wasn't that. Kendrick said, fuck the big three, nigga. I rap better than all y'all. You said, nigga, your discography ain't like that. It really warranted all of that? Really? Like, no. And this is why, again, no shot to Nadeska, because Nadeska is great. He needed to sit down in terms of how what's been going on the past 2 years with him. He needed to sit down with somebody who's going to provide a little bit more pushback. I'm sorry, and I'm going to stand on that. She's great at what she does. I would never take that away from her. But Cole needed to sit down with somebody who's going to provide a little bit more pushback. That was ridiculous. That's ridiculous, bro. I would if I was sitting in front of Cole, I would be like, Cole, you really telling me that you saying his discography wasn't like that? To Pimp a Butterfly was weak. Really made you lose sleep? Really? Like, really honestly, bro. Honestly, that really made you feel like that? Because you simply just didn't want to rap. That not, I'm saying stuff I don't believe. This is all competition. There was nothing really personal in that. You got to think the time that what we had at that time was like that verse, and then we got 7-minute drill. That's all we got. It was nothing scathing or nothing personal, or again, not on no hit 'em up type shit. None of that. No Vaseline type shit. Like, come on, bro. This is two niggas saying I rap better than you. And again, Cole, you've been saying for 5 years, you dare nigga to say your name. I think Cole would have came out better on this if he simply would have said, yo, you know what? I just didn't want to rap. This would have, honestly, this would have, I would have respected this way more. Just not respond. Had Cole not responded, and we get him years later saying, hey, bro, you know what? I just wasn't. I had nothing for him. You know, I was sitting back. I was doing it. You know, I was just like, you know what? Because had Cole just let it live and then Kendrick replied and then he didn't say shit, I would have been cool with that. This shit here, and, you know, because you got to remember, we got Port Antonio too, which, again, we didn't really get too much pushback on that. Also, because that was crazy. You know, him just talking about how much he fuck with Kendrick. My nigga, we get it, bruh. We get it. He fuck with you too. But again, on like that, he just saying, hey, bro, fuck that big three shit. I rap better than both y'all niggas. That wasn't a personal record. And it was the build up for something that we all been waiting for anyway, because we all wanted y'all on a record together. We didn't know a triple death match was gonna come behind it. Okay, fuck it. We here now. Kendrick jumping out saying, oh, fuck the big three niggas, just big me. What's up? You drop your shit and then you take it. No. I can't get it. And Cole fans will always try to gaslight us into thinking that we're making it bigger than what he's doing. That you're not gonna play in my face with this shit, bro. You just not. It's not gonna happen. Take that shit somewhere else. This didn't warrant all of this. All Cole had to do was shut the fuck up and not respond. Respectfully. That's it. If you wanted to carry it like that, just don't respond. Hey, bro, you put your shit out. Kendrick replied. You didn't want to rap back? Cool. Fine. Meek Mill did the same shit to Drake. At the backdrop, Meek didn't respond. He didn't put out a record. He didn't say nothing. But he wasn't getting back, oh, how I feel about Drake. That's my dog. Oh, you know, I was losing sleep. And, you know, I was saying shit I really didn't believe. I'm like, my nigga, what are we doing here? Coming from a nigga, again, context matters. Coming from a nigga who said for 4 or 5 years, daring a nigga to say his fucking name on the track. Now, people will say it confirms what Schoolboy Q was saying. Schoolboy Q basically was saying that he called him and like, hey, bro, this ain't got nothing to do with you. This between, you know, Dot and Drake, whatever the case may be. I never really got no confirmation on it, so I'm not really going to jump out the window on that. But it do kind of sound like that nigga Kendrick had you shook. That's what it sounded like to me. Especially if you just saying that nigga discography was weak. But again, we never got no confirmation on that, bro. You simply didn't want to rap. You simply don't want to rap. I don't want to be played with in terms of how it came about. Because when you hear 7-minute drill, that's just a nigga getting his bars off and saying, and see, even, you know what's so crazy? Even in real time, I was excited that Cole rapped back. I was excited that it wasn't nothing crazy. It wasn't on no Family Matters type level, no 616 in LA type level. Telling, it was, and that was kind of the issue that people had, that it wasn't really a haymaker. It was kind of like he was jabbing. And in real time, I was okay with the jab. You know why? Because I thought Cole was going to come back. I thought he was going to circle back around. That's why I was okay with the jab type S disc, because I thought he was going to circle back around. He didn't do that. So, but a lot of people had an issue with, hey, bro, like it kind of sounded like you don't want to rap at Kendrick for real. Like the energy just ain't there. Like we all heard Kendrick, his tonality, the bars, everything on the Like That verse. He was like, he kicked down the door. We all know it had everybody talking. It was like, it's here now. That was the entry point for this whole shit. But it wasn't a haymaker. It was just a friendly jab. It was friendly jabs. So this is why Cole needed to sit down with, and I'm not saying sit down with somebody who's going to just grill him. No, be fair in the assessment. Be fair within the interview. And I love the fact that Nadeska just let him talk as well, because there was moments in there he was like, I know I'm rambling right now. I was like, no, that's good. I love the fact that she just let him talk, because I don't want the interviewer to just drown out when, the artist or the person you're interviewing is getting the rolling. There's a skill in that. So I do appreciate her letting him just get it out, like letting him talk, and just in terms of everything. But off the heels of one of the biggest battles ever, especially 2 years later. See, all this is on purpose. This interview dropped literally 2 years to the anniversary of this whole shit dropping. So let's also factor that in too. Like, this is 2-year anniversary of one of the biggest battles. I got it as the second best battle ever of all time. You needed somebody who's going to provide more pushback, bro. You needed somebody who was going to do that. That was ridiculous. That was ridiculous. And, just in terms of I could imagine what Cole would have been like if Euphoria had him in there. I could just hearing him talk about this shit. Well, goddamn, nigga, how you would have reacted if you was in Euphoria? How you would have felt if you was in 616 in LA? And see, after all this drop, I'm looking at the Cole fans, and Cole fans are like, man, y'all still... He ain't talking about it. He talking about it. He's talking about it. If he wanted to just talk about the fall off, I would have appreciated it the same way. But don't gaslight me into making this shit sound honorable. It's not honorable. I don't care what nobody has to say about me saying this. It's not honorable to put out that diss record, take it back, apologize, say how much you love Kendrick. What I was saying, you said the nigga discography was weak, my nigga. That's all you said. That's all you said. And Cole fans, I will not allow y'all to play in my face talking about, oh, you sound more emotional. Y'all more invested. I'm not fucking invested. I'm upset that a nigga trying to dress up some bullshit and make it sound honorable. That's what I have a problem with. Cole is too great of a rapper. He had a 4 or 5 year run of killing verses for him to come out and try to dress something up that he did that was some bullshit and make it sound honorable. It wasn't honorable. You didn't want to rap. You were scared of Kendrick. You didn't even have to say that part. You can say, hey, bro, listen, I ain't got nothing for it, bro. You got that W. And just continue on doing your rap shit. I respect that more than you taking the shit back. That's the problem. He's trying to dress it up a certain type of way. I got over the fact that he did that shit. I got over the fact of the act. It's you're trying to dress it up to make it acceptable, my nigga. It's not acceptable. It's not acceptable, dog. It's not. It's not. I got over the act. Cool. And I was pissed. I got over it. And I judge Cole's music accordingly post that. Every time I reviewed the Fall Off, I reviewed the mixtape. I love the mixtape. I still listen to Might Delete Later today. Everything that I review in terms of Cole has nothing to do with what he did that night on the Dreamville stage in Fayetteville that night. Has nothing to do with it. I separated it. I loved the mixtape. Loved it. The Fall Off was cool. But stop trying to dress up the apology like it was some honorable shit. It wasn't. It simply wasn't. And I can't fake the funk. I can't fake it on here and be like, you know what, Cole? No. It is what it is. You moved out the way. We still was able to get a great battle. But now, it's just like on Port Antonio. I had a problem with him on Port Antonio too. Yo, I did this and, bruh, cut it out. Cut it the fuck out. Enough is enough. He is too great of a rapper for him to be giving it up like this. That's the problem, is because how great he is. I'm not moving Cole off of where I have him at. He's still part of the big three. I wasn't one of those people who said, oh yeah, Cole is no longer part of the big three. The only thing I said was, don't talk that I'm the best rapper shit no more. I dare a nigga to say my name type shit. But then, if you remember, if you're listening to this podcast, I said a few weeks ago when Sci-Hi was going at him, you know what? My mind probably could change in terms of him rapping at niggas, depending on how he deliver it. Maybe my mind could change. Maybe you could change the masses' minds in terms of, Cole ain't somebody you should fuck with. But all this other shit, bro, knock it the fuck off. Knock it the fuck off. Overall, the interview was cool, but it was safe. Like I said, I love how he talked about the Fall Off buildup. I love how he talked about his come up in terms of, him, that basement where they held the interview and how, he was rapping and all this other stuff. I tell you what, though, even in terms, my nigga, you had more venom on Poor Thing than you did 7 Minute Drill. You had more venom on Poor Thing than you did 7 Minute Drill. And I love Poor Thing. You had more venom for the nigga back at home than you had for the nigga who just said simply, bro, I rap better than you. Which is might be more valid. My nigga, if Poor Thing was in place of 7 Minute Drill, maybe you can feel that way. Maybe you can feel that way, bro. If Poor Thing was in substitute a 7 Minute Drill and that was directed at Kendrick Lamar, maybe I could give you that. Maybe. That had more venom than 7 Minute Drill. 7 Minute Drill was a light tap. But again, like I said, overall, the interview was cool. I loved how he talked about how the Fall Off was a 10-year plan. I loved that. I love the direction he went with that, and I'm glad that he didn't drop it 8 weeks after Might Delete Later. I'm glad he went back and, he revived it. He did his thing with that. But in terms of not enough pushback, we need to talk about Port Antonio more. You need to get more pushback in terms of why did you feel like that diss was so scathing? We needed more pushback. So, moving on. Tyrese versus Tank versus is coming up. Yeah, and you know me. Like, listen, I'm done predicting verses because my record is horrendous. I'm done predicting verses because my record is horrendous, and this dates back to 2021. It really started with the Dipset and the Locks battle. That's when it started. After that, I've been like 0 for 4, 0 for 5, bro. The performance aspect has changed this whole shit. But Tyrese and Tank is coming up. Off rip, I would like to think that Tyrese is gonna win this. Because I'm not a big Tank fan, but I know Tank has hits. But for some reason, I don't feel like I can trust Tyrese to come out victorious in this battle. I feel like I cannot trust this nigga, man. I feel like I cannot trust him. I feel like at some point Tyrese might get up there and start rambling. He might start crying about some past relationships or a current relationship. I don't know. He's just unpredictable. I don't know. I can't trust him. I can't trust him. So on paper, I have Tyrese winning this battle. But as far as performance, something tells me Tank might go up there and really blow this nigga out the water just from a performance aspect. I'm sorry. Something in my gut is telling me I cannot trust Tyrese on that stage, even though he has hella hits. Hella hits. Lately, Sweet Lady, Pulling Me Back. You know, the list goes on. But for some reason, I feel like I cannot trust Tyrese on that stage, man. I don't know. Hopefully he can prove me wrong, but I don't know. But, you know, just going into their hits and everything, of course, you know, let's go through Tank. Again, I'm not really a big fan of Tank like that, but, you know, I got to be fair. So he got Please Don't Go, Maybe I Deserve, When We, he got Super Sexy, Fucking With Me, Heartbreaker. I remember that being a big record. You know, they even got a couple of hits with TGT. I don't know if they were performing because Genuine's not there. And I actually heard they possibly might be getting back together. So that'd be interesting to see in terms of that. You got Control, you got Celebration featuring Drake, you got B-Day with Chris Brown, you got Slowly, you got No Limit, you got Can't Let It Show, Take It Wrong again with TGT, and you got Foreplay. You got Early 2K with Chris Brown, which is actually a Chris Brown record. As far as Tyrese, of course, you got Sweet Lady. You got How You Gonna Act Like That, Signs of Love Making. What Am I Gonna Do? Pulling Me Back with Chingy, super banger. Lately, I love Lately. That's one of my favorite Tyrese records. On Top of Me, that's a banger. You got, what else you got? Stay with Faith Evans. That's a fire record. The Best Man I Can Be, fire record off the Best Man soundtrack. You got Shame. You got Just a Baby Boy. That's a funny record, but that's a dope record as well. You got Weekend Love with TGT too. So I don't know, man. I don't know. Like again, I'm a Tyrese fan. I actually like Tyrese music. But something tells me I cannot trust that nigga on stage. He also got that record with the Brat too. That's a banger too. But it's good to see a dope R&B versus comeback. You know, I like the matchup. You know, I've heard other rumblings about who else could have possibly been on that stage. I heard Joe's name come up. Joe would actually be dope on the versus stage. I don't know who he would go up against. They'll probably place that nigga against somebody like a Vaughn. He getting the Vaughn out of here easily too. But I feel like that's the pool of guys they might match him up with. You know, somebody like that. I want to see Maxwell on a versus stage. That'd be very, very dope. Cause that man is a heavy hitter. Maxwell is a heavy. We need to get Maxwell on a versus stage for sure. I don't know who you will pit him up against, but I think Maxwell will put on a great performance. Great performance, and depending on who you put up against him, it's gonna be a long day. So maybe I don't know who we gonna see. Who would we like to see Maxwell go up against? Something to really think about. But I would love to see Maxwell on a versus stage. I think he'll give us a great performance. But again, Tyrese and Tank, my gut, I'm gonna have to go with Tank coming out victorious. But on paper, man, Tyrese should win this. But again, all my predictions have went down because that performance aspect, man, it ain't always about the records, man. It's about how you perform them, man. So I'll be definitely interested to see. That's supposed to happen on the 27th, I think, or the 25th. So I'll be interested to see how that goes. So moving on, Jay-Z, he announces two concerts that are going to be held July 10th and July 11th. July 10th is the 30th anniversary of Reasonable Doubt. That will be held at Yankee Stadium. And then July 11th will be the 25th anniversary of The Blueprint, the greatest rap album of all time, by the way. So it will be two concerts on 2 days. Again, July 10th will be the Reasonable Doubt one, and July 11th will be the Blueprint one, held at Yankee Stadium. And everybody's saying, and he's also highlighting, he's headlining the Roots Picnic. So everybody's saying this is anticipation for an album coming out. Again, we haven't had an album from Hov since 444 in 2017. I'm not jumping out the window on that. I'm not going to get excited at all. I'm not going to do that. Niggas is not going to get me excited for one of my favorite rappers of all time to drop an album. I'm not going to do that. If you give me some feature verses, I'm cool. But you just never know with Jay-Z. You never know with Jay-Z, man. You just never know. So I think those concerts will be epic. Especially the Blueprint one. Oh, man, that's going to be fucking insane. Again, that's the greatest rap album of all time to me. And it's just, legendary. I remember when that album came out, man, I was just a kid, and no skips. No skips, man. No skips. I love that. I love that project, man. Love that project. Love that album. Reasonable Doubt, of course, is a classic, too. Reasonable Doubt, of course, is a classic. That's a lot of people's favorite. A lot of the OGs, old OGs, they always hold Reasonable Doubt as the best out of Hov's discography, which, it's not debatable for me. Blueprint all day. Blueprint all day. So salute to Jay-Z for that. I'll be interested to see how that's going to go. I know that's going to be sold out. I know that's going to go crazy. Especially at Yankee Stadium, that's going to be packed the fuck out. That's going to be packed the fuck out. Moving on, Michael B. Jordan. Salute, brother. Salute Michael B. Jordan for winning the Oscar for Best Actor in Sinners. I said it when the movie first came out. Overall, the movie was just cool to me, but Michael B. Jordan killed those two roles. Playing a twin role is not easy. That shit is not easy, and he blew that shit out the water. So salute to Michael B. Jordan. I know that's a big step, especially for black actors. I think he joined Sidney Poitier, Denzel Washington, Forrest Whitaker, Jamie Foxx, and Will Smith as the only black actors to win lead actor for a film. As far as the Oscars. So salute to Michael B. Jordan, man. Well deserved. Goes all the way back to when he was a kid. He was a kid and he had a appearance in The Sopranos as a kid. Then he was in The Wire, of course, as Wallace. Shout out to him on that. Fruitvale Station, Black Panther, Creed, and then killing it with Sinners. And he's in his prime. Mike can only just get better. Mike can only get better. So this is a big checkpoint for him in his career. He deserves all the roses. He deserves all the props, especially off the heels that what happened to him and Delroy Lindo at the BAFTA Awards. But this is well deserved, man. This man went to, In-N-Out Burger after that to go get him a burger, which is funny because he's always said a double cheeseburger is his favorite meal. So he went to In-N-Out, got him a double cheeseburger with his Oscar in his hand, celebrating. So salute to Michael B. Jordan, man. Well deserved. Well deserved. And it's great to see black actors getting their proper roses, man. Definitely salute to him, man. So moving on, Mase Shyne speaking on Brandy. They didn't have to do this. Again, niggas is damn near 50 years old, and of course Ray J had some shit to say about it. But both, Cam alley-ooped it. Them speaking about what was going on back then in terms of how they ended up basically dating Brandy around the same time frame. So I'm gonna go ahead. Let me go ahead and play that clip actually, because I got it right here. Let me go.
Yeah. What happened with Brandy and everything? Let's just do it. Listen, let's do it. Who's dealing with Brandy?
Okay, let me switch my glass.
You know what happened?
We going.
You was dating Brandy at one time, or y'all was just, how'd it go?
I was special, He came in and wanted to be special. So I had to let him be special.
I mean, no lies told.
Yeah,
he was Shaq. Okay. He was the champion. He was the MVP. Right. I was Kobe, no pun intended, because they said Kobe was a special friend of Brandy's as well. Right. But no pun intended. Right. But I was coming out of high school
on the championship team, and he was the superstar of the team.
Right.
But I definitely did want to be special. I definitely, but I had no idea. So what happened is we had a mutual friend who was a snitch.
Okay.
So I'm not. I think he know who it is.
Right.
I'm not gonna expose him.
Right.
But so I was so excited because this is my dream person.
Right. Talk about Brandy.
Brandy.
Right.
Poor kid, Brooklyn, watching MTV, watching Moesha, watching her on BET, and as a dream, I'm like, man, if she was to know Shyne, I got that.
Right.
So when I came up, she was in the crosshairs. Like I was sniping.
Right.
And I had no idea though, because he was special.
Right.
So he was running that playbook so discreetly, so quietly. I had no idea.
Yeah, he's sneaky.
So he was an ultra sniper. But I was so excited, so I kept telling one of our mutual friends, and he was snitching me out. And then so Brandy was like, "Yo, who you told you here?
Right.
How so and so know that you here with me right now?" And I'm like, "Oh man."
Right.
So yeah,
that's what's up.
That's
you elaborate.
That's my story.
What I'm elaborate.
Yeah, man. I just think that when so much time has passed, man, especially again when niggas is 50 years old, certain shit should just be talked about, especially about your previous relationships, especially when that person is not in the same room. I think honestly, going forward, people need to stop speaking about past relationships, especially if y'all not together no more. If the person not in the same room with you, I think that's how we just don't talk about it at all. Because of course Ray J had something to say. I'm not gonna play what Ray J had to say because it's way too explicit. You can go see it. You already know what type of time. If you most likely you heard it, so I ain't gotta say it. But Ray J was very explicit in what he had to say to Cameron, Mase, and Shyne. Niggas crazy, but bros. Stop talking about your past relationships and who hit first, and you sitting up kiki laughing about it. That's not funny, man. That's not funny. And Brandy ain't bothering nobody. You get what I'm saying? And you're not speaking about it in a positive light. You tripping about it. You get what I'm saying? You basically make it seem like she was a pass around, and that's not really cool, regardless of what it was. Just leave it alone. Especially with Shyne. Shyne, he's at a different point in his life. I'm actually surprised that he went indefinite the way that he did, especially in terms of what he's doing politically. Like, I thought he would have carried that a little bit better. But I've heard that Shyne possibly has an album that's about to come out, but should have left that alone, man. I'm not that wasn't cool, man. That wasn't cool at all, man. Them niggas should have left that alone, man. So that's pretty much all I got to say about that in particular. Moving on, March Madness. So March Madness has started. It hasn't really been too many crazy upsets in the first round. Duke was looking like almost getting upsetted by Siena. It was looking like it. I was on a hate watch. They squeaked out in Siena 71-65, but it was looking kind of crazy early. Shout out to Jerry McNamara, used to play for Syracuse. He head coaches Siena now. But they came out victorious. And they came out victorious on Saturday as well. They beat TCU 81-58, so they'll be moving on to the Sweet 16. You still got a couple of games that got to go on. But other than that, everybody pretty much handled business. But my Tar Heels, back-to-back years, we have been knocked out the first round. It's time for Hubert Davis to go. He struck lightning in the bottle quick 2022. Went to the championship, which we should have won because we was up like 15 at halftime. We lost to Kansas. But ever since then, it's been lackluster. And for some reason, we cannot get the recruiting down. We cannot seem to get the recruiting down on par with Duke. We just can't do it. And, for the most part, they kind of consistently always been doing anything in terms of recruiting. But it shouldn't be a drop-off like that for us. And then Ellie Cadeau, he transferred. He went to Michigan. He playing on one of the best teams in the nation now. So there's that, too. But it's time for Hubert to go. It's time. He's overstayed his welcome. But we got higher expectations. Back-to-back years getting knocked out the first round. We was up 19 in the second half, and we lost to VCU in overtime. We lost 82-78. We was up like 67-48 or something like that in the second half, and they came back and they beat us. That's inexcusable. So I don't really got much much for that. Hubert Davis, he has to go. As far as my prediction, who's gonna win this whole thing? Honestly, it's between Michigan. It's Michigan and Arizona. I feel like Arizona, they're the best team in the nation, top to bottom. I feel like Arizona, they're finally gonna get it done. They haven't won a championship, I think, since '97, so it's been a long time. But Arizona, I got them coming out victorious, winning that. Shout out to AJ Dynasta. He went crazy in his debut, even though they lost to Texas. Darius Acuff, goes without saying, man, been killing shit. He just had a 36-point game. So they'll be moving on. Who they playing next? Arkansas is playing, which bracket that they in? It's to be determined, yeah, but they beat High Point 94-88. That was actually a good game too. High Point looking like they was going to be an upset. They was going to upset some teams. High Point, they upset Wisconsin 83-82. That was a crazy game. But yeah, I got Arizona taking this whole thing. I think they'll match up against Florida in the national championship, but Florida can very well repeat. They could. Houston, I just can't trust Houston. Houston, they've been on the brink, but they just can't seem to get over that hump. So yeah, that's where I'm at with it. So that's my prediction as far as the championship. Be interested to see, of course, because the championship is not going to be held till April 6th. But yeah, man, as far as my Tar Heels, hey, bro, you gotta go. It's been real, but salute. So that's pretty much all I got for this week's show, man. Again, I want to thank y'all for tapping in with me, checking in with me. Please make sure you continue to, subscribe to me on all the platforms that I named earlier. Run me up on TikTok, Instagram. Y'all also continue to go out there, chase your goals, achieve them, stop procrastinating, get out here, get busy, get your ass in that gym, get your lazy, funky asses in that gym, and ultimately, please be safe. So like I say every week, man, this is I'm Not Repeating Myself podcast. I'm your host, Mike, and I hope you heard what I said the first time because I'm not repeating myself. I'm out.